Oh, hello, everyone. So, can the people in the back try to be seated? There's still a few seats reserved. I hope you people are those who are for the reserved. Dennis, it's rare we have a sellout here. This is really something for Convocation. This is really good. This is great. This is great. So, everyone, welcome, faculty, staff, guests. Good evening, and it's a pleasure to see you all here. Today's a proud day for Mount Sinai as we honor our outstanding colleagues who will be receiving endowed chairs from our medical school. We celebrate their accomplishments and their many contributions, not only to our health system, but to society at large. It's through their dedication and those who've come before that we have been able to build Mount Sinai into the global leader that it is in clinical care, research, and education. Faculty, your endowed chair today includes you in an incredible legacy, not only here on our campus, but broadly across your fields. And because of that, I want to take a moment to step back and really acknowledge the significance of this moment in time, in science, in a broader context. To do that, let's imagine we're in a room full of physicists 100 years ago. And what are those physicists talking about? They're talking about quantum mechanics, they're talking about relativity, they're talking about the origin of the universe. They're excited by what's on the horizon, but they could never have predicted what that revolution in physics would mean to us today. Would they have ever thought that we'd pick up our iPhones and within milliseconds send a picture halfway around the globe? Would they have been able to imagine the changes that we're producing in artificial intelligence? Could they have imagined the power of computers? But now here we are today in the midst of another incredible revolution, but this time it's in biology. We're seeing changes at an exponential rate as our research is transforming modern medicine and our understanding of disease. But this is only the beginning. What developments are simply beyond even our wildest imagination, as they were 100 years ago for those physicists? What will the next generation discover? How long will it be before we fully understand the genetics of aging? Why a Drosophila lives a couple of days, why a Galapagos turtle lives 140. Will our grandchildren look back and wonder why people ever died of cancer? Or how come they only lived to about 80? That revolution is within our grasp. But the question of whether we'll make those discoveries that will change mankind depends on how we manage this moment. We're on the cusp of greatness, but it can slip from our fingers. Institutions like ours, institutions like Mount Sinai, are leading drivers of innovation, but we're not immune to external and financial pressures. For example, our hospital revenue streams, the crucial streams that cross-subsidize our research establishment, are in jeopardy. Without a fiscally healthy hospital, we could not survive as an academic institution. But those revenue streams are under great pressure. We lose 15 cents on the dollar on every Medicare patient who comes through our doors. We lose 35 cents on the dollar for every Medicaid patient that comes through our doors. And because of our core values, because we take care of everyone, and we will continue to do so, 62% of our patients are Medicare or Medicaid. And policies from Washington are constantly turning down the dial on what we get paid for services. But we persevere. We continue to make strategic choices that allow us to continue to serve our communities, to support our scientists. Bottom line, we need to find a way to ensure that academic health centers can survive and thrive during this revolution in biology. I know the people in this room will be on the front lines of innovation, but that means more than just doing our work and proceeding with our science. It means you, new endowed recipients of chairs, you need to use your prestige and status to actively convince our policymakers and legislators that the opportunity that lies ahead is great, but it depends on the stability of our institutions. Those leaders who you need to talk to will either be remembered in the years to come as visionaries or as Philistines. It is our responsibility to help them make the right choice. So, we've lived through a revolution in physics, and today we're living through a revolution in biology. 100 years from now, what will it have brought? The answer depends on the viability of our academic institutions and the lead we take in talking to our policymakers. I now turn the stage over to a longtime trustee, a great supporter of Mount Sinai, a generous philanthropist, and now it is our good fortune that he's the co-chair of our Board of Trustees, Jimmy Tisch.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the 51st Annual Convocation Ceremony of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. Biomedical researchers have made miraculous discoveries over the past decade, many right here in our own laboratories. But the last time I checked, we're all still mortal, which means there's still a lot more work to be done. So for my own selfish reasons, I implore you, those on the stage and those out there, I implore you, as soon as you're done listening to the speeches, please, please, please get back to your labs and make those discoveries. I have tremendous confidence that Mount Sinai's brilliant scientists and doctors are highly capable of doing just that. We have recruited great minds to join the Mount Sinai faculty. We have a great track record of discovery, and we're building on that record every year. Just in the past few weeks, we've had 5 significant achievements. First, the National Institutes of Health awarded Mount Sinai a grant to help develop the first universal flu vaccine based on our promising work in this area. Second, Mount Sinai researchers discovered the molecular signature of a form of Crohn's disease that is resistant to treatment. Third, Mount Sinai researchers also learned that occasional fasting can reduce inflammation and help treat chronic inflammatory diseases, including cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. Fourth, Mount Sinai research established that having an optimistic attitude can reduce one's risk for heart attacks. Think about that. Think positive thoughts. Finally, Mount Sinai researchers developed a way to make immunotherapy work against treatment-resistant lymphoma. These recent achievements and our research rankings are truly impressive, particularly for a standalone medical school that is not a part of a larger research university. The Icahn School of Medicine stands number 12 in the nation in research grants from the National Institutes of Health. Measured by funding per principal investigator, we rank number 4. I know Dean Dennis Charney and our CEO, Ken Davis, are all very proud of this. But I also know that they won't be happy if 5 years from now, we're still number 12 and number 4. We aim to continue elevating Mount Sinai, to continue rising to the challenge of improving our understanding of disease, and to continue finding cures. And together, we will. Last year, Mount Sinai Innovation Partners, the entity that translates our research findings into healthcare products and services, generated 209 patents, 128 inventions, and 60 new licenses and options for use of Mount Sinai research. Mount Sinai Innovation Partners is helping us to expand the boundaries of biomedical science while strengthening the financial foundation of the Icahn School of Medicine. Credit is due to the visionary leadership of Dr. Davis and Dr. Charney, the hard work of our professors and researchers, and the philanthropy of our supporters. Today, we recognize those generous donors who have endowed academic chairs and our faculty members who have earned the honor of an endowed professorship. In that regard, We thank Corinne Stern-Graber and her late husband Joseph for endowing the Dr. Leonard I. Malice Corinne and Joseph Graber Professorship of Neurosurgery. Congratulations to Dr. Joshua Betterson, who will hold the chair. Thanks are due to the Lewis and Harold Price Foundation, which is endowing the Joe Low and Lewis Price Professorship of Medicine. Congratulations to Dr. Fred Hirsch, who assumes that professorship. Many thanks to the Charles and Yvette Bludhorn Charitable Trust for funding the Bludhorn Professorship of International Medicine. Dr. Natalie Jeté will hold that position. Congratulations. We thank the late Leon Hess and the Hess family for endowing the Eugene W. Friedman Professorship of Surgical Oncology. Congratulations to Dr. Daniel Labo, who will hold the chair. And we thank the estate of Henry M. Stratton for endowing the Lillian and Henry M. Stratton Professorship of Gene and Cell Medicine. Dr. Sarah Miller will hold the chair. Congratulations, Dr. Miller. I would also like to congratulate our other esteemed professors who are honored today with endowed chairs. Congratulations to Dr. Lakshmi Devi, who will now become a Mount Sinai professor in molecular pharmacology. Congratulations also to Dr. Sundar Jagannath, who will now hold the title of Mount Sinai Professor of Multiple Myeloma. We congratulate Dr. Florian Kramer, who will hold the Mount Sinai Professorship in Vaccinology. Congratulations to Dr. Avi Maayan, the new Mount Sinai Professor of Bioinformatics. And congratulations to Dr. Roxana Meron, who will hold the title of Mount Sinai Professor of Cardiovascular Clinical Research and Outcomes. Congratulations to all our faculty members, and thank you very much to our generous donors. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Dennis Charney. Dr. Charney is the Ann and Joel Ehrenkrantz Dean of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, as well as being an outstanding teacher, scientist, researcher, and the Pied Piper responsible for attracting so many of these luminaries to Mount Sinai. Dr. Charney.
Thank you, and congratulations to all our endowed chair recipients. So what I'm going to do over the next 30 minutes is give you a state of the school address. There's a lot of information that I'm going to present, but I'm going to have to do it quickly. So this presentation will be online for those who want to study it in more detail. I don't know how many of you want to do that. So first I want to start with mentioning some of our research accomplishments over the last year, some of which have already been mentioned. And one of the ways we do measure the quality of our science is how competitive we can be in getting research funding, and that is NIH funding. So as Mr. Tisch mentioned, that we're now number 12. We're in good company. We are by far the best funded independent medical school and are competing very effectively with all the big universities. But in a sense, most importantly, is that our science is leading to breakthroughs that are going to help our patients. And Mr. Tisch gave some examples, but there are many others that you will hear about over the course of the next year. We've made a number of new appointments over the last year that are very important to the functioning of our medical school. Several new deans, including Carol Horowitz, who was named Dean for Gender Equity in Science and Medicine in the first part of this year. Rhoda Sperling, more recently, has been named Dean for Industry Engagement and Conflicts of interest. We have new department chairs and institute directors. Sarah Millar, who's going to get an endowed chair tonight, and Louis Pasquale, who became director of our New York Ioneer and Vision Research Institute. And our faculty practice, which is among the largest in the country, named new leadership there in terms of Ann Dickerson and Matthew Rosamond. Karen Tiger has been named Senior Associate Dean for Faculty, Staff, and Trainee Relations. And most recently, Alexis Colvin has been named Associate Dean for Alumni Affairs. A very important appointment because we are working hard to establish closer relationships with the tens of thousands of Mount Sinai alumni. So what about education? Recently, our newest class in the medical school was admitted and matriculated. These are the metrics. You can see how hard it is to get into Mount Sinai. Average GPA of 3.82, MCAT score very high, coming from the top universities in the United States. And what we say that is truthful, that most of our faculty, including me, would not be admitted to Mount Sinai. So we have a great class of students, not only by their metrics, but also by their passion, their passion for social justice, their passion for gender equity, their passion for science. They want to do it all, and we're here to be their teachers and make sure that that's possible. We have several MD, PhD students who come to us every year, and they're here for 8 or 9 years to become physicians and also scientists, and they are also a remarkable group of students. We also have a program that is unique in the United States where we admit students after their sophomore year and they matriculate once they have graduated from college. And the reason we have this program is to attract students who are not bound by traditional requirements for medical school, so we can attract students who are majoring in the humanities or in computer science or physics and chemistry. And the quality of this student group is also extremely high. Our medical education faculty are very busy this year, in part because we're going to be visited in about a week by the LCME, which is the accrediting body for medical schools. Importantly, this year we announced an enhanced scholarship initiative. Student debt for attending medical school is extremely high. Some students have hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and we and now several other medical schools in the country have said this is unacceptable. So through the generosity of our Board of Trustees, we now have an enhanced scholarship initiative so that students whose family cannot afford much of the cost of medical school are getting scholarships so that the maximum debt after 4 years of medical school is $75,000. This enables our students to pick their specialty not based on paying off their debt, but what their passion is about. We have many new policies, including a policy related to unprofessional conduct, and we have many new recruits in our Department of Medical Education. I'm not going to be able to go over that right now, but outstanding faculty taking on important positions. We have named one of our lecture halls, the Friedman Hall, for the Friedman family, led by Rich Friedman, because of their generosity and commitment to Mount Sinai. Rich Friedman, along with Jim Tisch, are the co-chairs of the Mount Sinai Board of Trustees. We also have completed a renovation of the lobby of Aaron Hall, the first floor of Aaron Hall, where many of our students live, to create a center for learning and development. Racism and bias has no place at Mount Sinai, so we have initiated this year a Change Now initiative related to racism and bias. In terms of graduate medical education, that's training the specialists associated with the medical field. We have the largest, we're the largest sponsor of graduate medical education in the United States. We have 2,500 or more residents and clinical fellows associated with our hospitals. Since 2014, we now have sponsored 6 accredited programs at Mount Sinai, South Nassau, which started in July of 19. So we have a very, very busy postgraduate program led by Michael Lightman. Many new initiatives there and many new awards. Just to mention 2 here, very prestigious awards. For example, some of our residents and faculty teams got the David Leach Award, which was awarded to 6 programs out of 12,000 programs. Our training programs at Mount Sinai Hospital and now at our other hospitals as part of the Mount Sinai Health System are very competitive. And this indicates some of the ranks of our programs. Frankly, I think our programs are better than these rankings. And in part, these training programs ranking is a popularity contest. So, we're going to be working even harder. So the rank relates to how good our graduate medical education programs really are. What about our graduate schools? So we have a graduate school, an outstanding graduate school led by Marta Filizzola, where we train PhD students, postdoctoral students, trainees, and several hundred students who get master's degrees at Mount Sinai. The PhD students that matriculated in 2019 were the best class that we've ever had. And this indicates their qualifications, very high GPA. Note 70% of the matriculating class are women, which is very gratifying, given we want more women going into science and medicine. Many undergraduate schools from around the country are represented. These are some of our master's programs that are a very important part of what we do here in terms of education. Many accomplishments over the past year associated with the graduate school. I'm not going to be able to go over all of them, but what I really want to highlight is that the graduate curriculum has been changed in response from our students to learn more about data science and entrepreneurship. We are an institution that emphasizes thinking out of the box, thinking boldly, go where others may have not gone to make the discoveries that change the lives of our patients. That's what Mount Sinai is all about. This just happened this past weekend, where 5 of our former postdoctoral trainees who had formed their own company decided to give back to Mount Sinai. And so they have given funds, $50,000, for entrepreneur awards to be awarded to our postdocs. It was very inspirational when we gave out the award this past week. We have an Office of Academic and Development and Enrichment led by Lakshmi Devi, who's getting an endowed chair today. And that's to make sure that we are providing the kind of mentorship that our medical students, our graduate students, our postdoctoral students, and our faculty, and our younger faculty, are getting the mentorship that they need. So we have many new initiatives that were started in the past year. We also have a very important Office of Diversity and Inclusion, led by Gary Butts, who is a dean at the school. Mount Sinai Health System was ranked #1 among health systems and hospitals in the past year, and number 19 of 500 overall companies in Forbes 2019 Best Employers for Diversity. This is part of our DNA, that we provide an environment for everybody to succeed. And nobody's good enough, and so we're always looking for ways to improve how we provide for diverse populations in terms of our patients, our staff, our trainees, and our faculty. This is a new program that we just started this past week, and it's the brainchild of Gary Butts, our dean related to diversity. And so we have formed a diversity innovation hub, and that's a unique academic health system hub dedicated to eliminating health and healthcare disparities through entrepreneurship and community engagement. And we had a great conference associated with this several days ago, and the school is going to provide funds to enhance the innovation associated with this diversity hub. And as I mentioned earlier this year, we named a new dean, Carol Horowitz, for gender equity in science and medicine. Many new initiatives associated with the office led by Dr. Horowitz, and relates to all our campus, all genders and backgrounds, all faculty and trainees. We are looking at several different areas, including compensation equity, recruitment and retention, family-friendly policies like lactation rooms, looking at issues related to gender bias and mistreatment, and also mentorship, leadership, and sponsorship. There have been important advances over the past year related to those topic areas, but we're not done. It's not good enough. And so this will be an area of emphasis as we go forward. Many accomplishments. Now, we've also established over the past year an Office of Wellbeing and Resilience led by John Ripp and his staff. And one of the reasons this was important, in fact, John Ripp is also our Chief Wellness Officer, the fourth such wellness officer in the country. And I should mention, when we named Carol Horowitz Dean for Gender Equity in Science and Medicine, that was the first such dean position in the United States. One of the reasons establishing this office has been so important, because the rate of burnout among medical students and house staff and faculty is too high. The rate of depression and anxiety among physicians and medical students and graduate students is too high. In fact, if you look at the rate of those conditions compared to the general population, it's almost double the rate. So there's enormous stress associated with becoming physicians and scientists. And we need to be one of the places that works to reduce this stress. We completed a survey of almost 2,000 of our faculty this year, have identified areas that we need to work on to help our faculty, and we'll be working on those areas over the coming year. We mentioned earlier that the NIH funding. We had a very good year. The NIH goes up about 5 to 7% every year in terms of the funds available. This year we went up 13%, so we're about double the rate of increase in terms of money coming from NIH. And you could see that a number of our departments among the very best in the United States, if not the world: genetics, microbiology, neuroscience, pharmacology, and also our clinical departments are becoming stronger and stronger in translating work that comes out of the lab into the clinic, into the hospital, so that we are one of the hubs of the discovery of new treatments. And one of the ways we make that happen is we have an office which has typically been called tech transfer, but we think that doesn't fully describe what this group does. It's Mount Sinai Innovation Partners, led by Eric Liam. And what they do is that they work with our faculty and our trainees to identify research that has the potential to be commercialized and get to our patients. And this reflects the work they have done, including, as you can see, over 200 patents in the past year. And we have spun out a number of our technologies, including companies such as Hypercell, Renalytics, most recently Trained Therapeutics, and we use our funds to enhance our science so that more startup companies can come out of Mount Sinai science. And most recently, we, over the past several days, which ended yesterday, we had our annual innovation conference, and this year it focused on artificial intelligence. As part of the conference, we had a hackathon, and we had over 160 registered individuals, and 137 started, and 119 completed. And this happened over a weekend, that 19 teams worked on a problem, came up with possible ideas to solve that problem, and 3 finalists, won prizes. But what was really amazing was that, particularly the young people that came from all over, this is not just from Mount Sinai, to think bold thoughts, deep thoughts, stayed up all night to come up with new ideas, and it was amazing to hear what they came up with in a short period of time. And kudos go to Scott Friedman and Rama Iyengar and others to make this happen. We have a very large faculty practice. It's among the largest in the country, with several thousand Mount Sinai doctors. We had a very good year. The number of ambulatory encounters is well over 1 million. We have emphasized how to make sure that the quality of the care that we delivered is unrivaled, that the patient experience is tremendous. And so we follow that very carefully with our departments, chairs, and our faculty using data. It helps drive what we need to do. We're very focused on access so that if a patient needs to be seen the same day, we find a Mount Sinai doctor to provide the care. And this is an ongoing work that's very important, that the care you receive at Mount Sinai is patient-centered. And in terms of the financial results, running a medical school is not a profitable business, but so that if you break even, you're doing very well. This year, it looks like we will do that. The funds to run a medical school come in a very small part from tuition. It comes from the research. It comes from our faculty practice, and it comes from philanthropy and generosity of our patients and our board of trustees. We're always very careful in how we manage our resources. We have a lot of unexpended grant backlog, which is good. So it means that we have a lot of money to then further invest in our science. We are looking at how we can best enhance the space that we need for our research and clinical programs. We work very closely with our hospitals. One of the great things about Mount Sinai, our health system, is that our school and our hospital system are very tightly aligned, we row in the same direction, and that is provide great care and do great research. In 2017, we, through the work of many of our faculty and outside consultants, developed a strategic plan for the medical school and the health system. And these were our guiding principles: to take advantage of the size and excellence of the Mount Sinai health system, to establish unrivaled excellence in medical and graduate education, to anticipate and fund new areas of research that will result in the discovery of novel approaches to disease diagnosis and treatment. And that's the key, actually, to an outstanding strategic plan, and that is to anticipate where is the science going, to invest in that and make bold discoveries for our patients. and essentially with number 5, to power at Mount Sinai an engine of discovery to create more intellectual property, more collaboration with industry, more Mount Sinai companies, and more treatments for our patients. So we have many new, I'm not going to go over this, but you'll see this on the website. We have many new initiatives associated with this strategic plan that began in 2017. We've created new institutes focusing on digital health, biomedical engineering, transformative clinical trials, a Center for Genomic Health, and that is to implement as important genetic findings are identified, we get that into our patient, get that for our patients so that they might know what they're at risk for and what kind of treatments they're going to need in the future. So there's a lot of things we're going to be doing over the next year. We're working together with our hospital system to work to develop a new building on the corner of 98th and Madison, which we expect to be an iconic building on our campus. It'll be a gateway to our campus. It will now allow expansion of our faculty practice and also to enhance our initiatives related to digital health, artificial intelligence, and biomedical engineering. To help this occur, we are in a capital campaign, working together with our Board of Trustees and others to raise $2 billion. We could use your help in case you have the ability. We've done well so far, and that will enable us to do what we need to do for all our hospitals, our ambulatory sites, and the medical school. I want to end by thanking Peter May, who was our chair of our Board of Trustees for many years. He was an insightful leader, dedicated to Mount Sinai to achieve its full profession. You can see all the things that he has done for us. He enabled us to go from good to great, to be among the best medical schools and health systems in the world. And we thank him for his inspirational leadership and wisdom. And we look forward, Ken and I and others, to working with our new co-chairs of the board, and that is Richard Friedman and James Tisch. Thank you very much. So now we're going to start what you really came here for. And we're going to start with the awarding of the endowed chairs. Our first recipient is Dr. Joshua Peterson, the Leonard Mallis, Corinne and Joseph Graber Professor of Neurosurgery. Presenting Dr. Peterson's citation is Dr. Barbara Murphy, who is the Murray Rosenberg Professor of Medicine, and most importantly, our Chair of Medicine for the Mount Sinai Health System.
I'm honored to install Joshua Peterson, MD, as a Leonard I. Mallis, MD, Corinne and Joseph Graber Professor of Neurosurgery. Dr. Peterson, Chair of the Department of Neurosurgery, is an acclaimed skull-based and cerebrovascular neurosurgeon, specializing in the treatment of both intracranial and spinal pathologies and complex vascular conditions. He has performed thousands of neurosurgical operations since joining the Mount Sinai faculty in 1992. Under Dr. Peterson's leadership, the Department of Neurosurgery has grown both in size and scope. He has recruited and retained top talent and has developed successful collaborations with physicians and scientists across departments and disciplines within Mount Sinai. Since his days as director of the residency program, he has placed a priority in developing outstanding educational programs for neurosurgery, both in residency and fellowships. As a researcher and innovator, Dr. Peterson established the first basic science laboratory in Mount Sinai Department of Neurosurgery. An early proponent of stimulation to improve surgical outcome and reduce complications in patients, he has launched what is now known as the Neurosurgery Stimulation Core. Dr. Peterson and his colleagues integrate 3D images with virtual reality to conduct enhanced neurosurgical consults, plan the detailed surgery, and navigate during surgery. A recent public television segment on Dr. Beedison described the work as once the stuff of Star Trek, now a reality. Beyond Mount Sinai, Dr. Beedison has served in leadership roles in multiple professional societies, and earlier this year was awarded the annual scientific meeting at the annual scientific meeting of American Association of Neurological Surgeons as a cerebrovascular sections M. Geyser I'm mangling that, Yazil lecturer. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Beedison.
Thank you, Dr. Charney, Dr. Davis, Dr. Murphy. I was born in this hospital in the Klingenstein Pavilion. To have had the opportunity to return to Mount Sinai after growing up as a neurosurgeon and to eventually lead the Department of Neurosurgery, and today to receive this endowment is certainly more than I ever could have dreamed. I've been chair during a period of unprecedented growth, and still I marvel that we are now the largest neurosurgery department on the Eastern Seaboard. I deeply admire the acclaimed faculty I'm privileged to work with every day. I'm surrounded by the most talented, humane, and hardworking people, and I'm blessed with the support of an incredible office staff and visionary administrative leadership. I thank my parents, Ben and Betty, my family, Isabella daughters, Lucia and Maria, who were also born in Klingenstein. My Mount Sinai mentors, Dr. Charney, who's pushed and cajoled and pulled and helped. Eric Nestler, Cal Post, without whom I would not even be here and who supported me every single day of my career, up to and including today. Thank you. My dear colleagues, Stan Turum, Ronnie Horowitz, Eric Jenden, Evan Flato, my long-term work partners and now who I would call friends, David Rich, Margaret Pastusko, and to many close associates I call friends within the department and outside. Recently, I've been speaking at neurosurgery departments and in health systems around the world. I was impressed, certainly, but it felt so good to return to my home here, to my family, my colleagues, like-minded people, to my work and passion for neurosurgery, to Mount Sinai, where I was born in Klingenstein. Thank you.
I am proud to present our second recipient, Dr. Lakshmi Devi, Mount Sinai professor in molecular pharmacology. I was going to say step forward, but she broke her foot. You want to just hang there? Yeah. Okay. Yep. So I am very pleased to install Lakshmi Devi as the Mount Sinai professor in molecular pharmacology. Dr. Devi, professor and vice chair for education in the Department of Pharmacological Sciences, is an internationally renowned expert in molecular neurobiology and pharmacology. She leads a groundbreaking research program which has demonstrated that certain membrane proteins form interacting complexes that can serve as novel therapeutic targets by identifying compounds targeting these complexes. Dr. Devi and her team have opened the door to development of drugs to treat chronic pain, substance abuse, and addiction, and we all know how important that is today. Dr. Devi's robust extramural funding portfolio includes a prestigious Merit Award from the National Institute of Health. Merit Awards are very difficult to get. They provide long-term grant support to investigators in the exact words of the NIH, whose research competence and productivity are distinctly superior. Investigators don't apply for merit awards unless they are identified by the national councils of different NIH institutes. In addition to being an outstanding researcher, Dr. Devi is also a dedicated educator and mentor. And that's why several years ago I named her Dean for Academic Development and Enrichment. More than several years ago, 10 years ago. Time flies. She has built a mentoring infrastructure encompassing all of the school's academic departments. And each year, Dr. Devi's office organizes workshops and conferences for junior faculty, ranging from skill enhancement to career advancement, networking, addressing work-family balance, and many other things. She is truly a force of nature. Dr. Devi is a prolific author. She lectures worldwide and has received many honors and awards for her work, too many to mention. So it is an honor for me to present this endowed chair to Dr. Lakshmi Devi. Congratulations. We're going to give her a... You'll be able to do it? Okay, all right.
Thank you, Mount Sinai, for this recognition. I'm deeply honored and humbled by the acknowledgement of my scientific achievements. I could not be here today without the help and support of a number of people. First, my mentors. My mother, my first mentor, who showed me the wonders of experimentation and discovery in her small Indian kitchen. To Ravi Iyengar, who recruited me to Sinai and has continued to be an advisor and an avid sponsor, thank you. To Dean Charney, who believed in me to build a vibrant and progressive Office of Academic Development. I cherish your guidance, mentorship, and encouragement throughout my tenure here at Mount Sinai. Thank you. Second, my trainees, both past and present. My scientific achievements could not have been possible without your unwavering trust, dedication, commitment to scientific excellence, and most of all, deep love for discovery science. You have been my inspiration. You are deeply valued and treasured. Thank you. Third, to my family, my parents and sisters who stood by my choice of leaving the country at a young age in the pursuit of science. My children, Ashwana and Arun, for pursuing degrees in science despite having witnessed firsthand the trials and tribulations of budding academic scientist parents. Thank you for continuing to share your love for science, love for research, and love for life. To my husband, Lloyd Fricker, who's been my champion, cheerleader, mentor, collaborator, soulmate, and friend. Thank you. Finally, colleagues in the Department of Pharmacology and throughout the Sinai health system for your collegiality and friendship, for making Sinai an encouraging, engaging, invigorating, and fun place that I look forward to come to work every day. Thank you for being here today. To Mount Sinai Board of Trustees, thank you again for this recognition. Please know that your confidence inspires me and my team, and your generosity propels us forward. This professorship will help us continue to make groundbreaking, innovative discoveries in the field of neuropharmacology. Thank you.
Our third recipient is Dr. Fred R. Hirsch, Joe Lowy and Lewis Price Professor of Medicine. Presenting Dr. Hirsch's citation is Dr. Ramon Parsons, Ward Coleman Chair in Cancer Research and director of the Tisch Cancer Institute. Ramon?
It's my honor to present Fred with the Joe Lowe and Lewis Price Professor of Medicine and Chair. Recognizing the significant contributions he's made to understanding how to improve the treatment of lung cancer. With over 400 peer-reviewed articles to his credit, Fred has performed pioneering clinical and translational biomarker research in lung cancer for over 25 years. There are many accomplishments in his record, but I'd like to highlight one of them, which is that he was one of the first to explore and understand the role of EGFR in lung cancer. And this eventually has led to real groundbreaking and curative treatment for the disease. As the executive director of the newly created Center for Thoracic Oncology and the Tisch Cancer Institute at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, Fred is facilitating a team-driven approach that is informed by multiple disciplines to expand our portfolio of lung cancer research in the lab and clinic. I would also like to recognize the generosity of the Lewis and Harold Price Foundation, who made this chair possible with their generous support. Congratulations, Fred.
Thank you, Ramon. It is for me a great pleasure and great honor to be awarded with this endowed professorship. I grew up in a small town in Norway with parents still suffering from the loss of big families during Holocaust. And it was not in the cards that I should receive such a recognition at one of the most distinguished and respected institutions in the world. Lung cancer has been the focus of my research since I was a medical student in Copenhagen. After many years with no progress, we have seen over the last decade a significant progress, I will say dramatic progress, in treatment development, and with lung cancer screening with low-dose CT, reducing the lung cancer mortality with more than 25%. There is today a total different life perspective for the many patients and a realistic life perspective and a realistic prospect of cure for some patients with lung cancer. That is beyond what we could dream about 10 to 15 years ago. Therefore, I'm so thrilled by the opportunity to build up a multidisciplinary center of excellence for thoracic oncology here at the Tisch Cancer Institute at Mount Sinai, and bring together world-renowned experts from different disciplines to work together towards common goals to prevent and to cure lung cancer. The endowed professorship will help me significantly to achieve those goals, and I would like to thank the Dean, the CEO, the Cancer Center Director, and the whole leadership at Mount Sinai for all the support and for giving me this opportunity. And I will thank my family, particularly my wife, for the daily support. Thanks to all of you for coming here today and celebrate the visions of our supporters. Thank you very much.
Our next recipient is Dr. Sundar Jagannath, Mount Sinai professor in multiple myeloma. Presenting to Dr. Jagannath is Dr. William O., the Ezra Greenspan Professor in Clinical Cancer Care and Therapeutics and Chief of our Division of Hematology and Medical Oncology.
Thank you, Dennis. It is with great pleasure that I present Dr. Sundar Jagannath as the inaugural Mount Sinai Professor in Multiple Myeloma. Few people are as dedicated to the treatment and eradication of one disease as Sundar is to multiple myeloma, a vexing cancer which can have myriad effects and which has a disproportionate effect on the patients within the Tisch Cancer Institute at Mount Sinai. Sundar has created a world-renowned program recruiting faculty and staff in clinical and laboratory science who are leading the way in developing new treatments and clinical trials, including 2 recent papers in the New England Journal of Medicine. At the same time, he is a great doctor, a great colleague, and a wonderful mentor. He's built his program by really being a model for the clinician investigator at Mount Sinai, and by allowing his faculty and staff the opportunity to contribute to this mission of treating and studying multiple myeloma. This has really led to patients coming from all over the world to see him and his team, as they know the care and access to the cutting edge will be unparalleled anywhere else in the world. So congratulations, Sundar.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here on this occasion. Dr. Chari and I came to Mount Sinai in June of 2010 from St. Vincent's Hospital and Medical Center. We moved 950 patients and more than 300 stem cells from St. Vincent to Mount Sinai Medical Center within the first year and a half. Since then, the program has mushroomed into a large, multidisciplinary program serving over 4,000 patients in the tri-state area. We came to Mount Sinai as it provided us with the best environment to build a translational component supporting a large clinical research program. We serve as the tertiary care program for multiple myeloma patients during all phases of their disease. In particular, we have become the center for innovative approaches for patients who have exhausted currently approved treatment. We have plunged ourselves into the genomics of the myeloma cells, as well as the immuno-oncology, which are the core strength of the Tisch Cancer Institute. This has allowed us to personalize the medicine with drugs repurposing according to our proprietary RNA sequencing and drug repurposing algorithm. All this has been a huge undertaking and professionally very rewarding. It is particularly an honor to receive this professorship on behalf of the myeloma program. I would like to thank all of the people who have contributed to my receiving this honor, the Icahn School of Medicine for providing it, and all my colleagues who have worked with me in the myeloma program. This has been a great team effort. I would like to recognize my family, my wife, my father and mother in their 90s who were able to make it to this great occasion. And above all, I would like to thank the patients who trusted their lives to the team of doctors in our myeloma program. Thank you.
Our fifth recipient is Dr. Natalie Jette, Blue Dorn Professor of International Medicine. Presenting to Dr. Jette is Dr. Barbara Vickery, Henry P. and Georgette Goldsmith Professor of Neurology and System Chair of the Department of Neurology.
It is a great pleasure to present the Bludorn Professor of International Medicine Chair to my colleague, Nathalie Jeté. Prior to our recruiting her to Mount Sinai from Canada 2 years ago, she had earned international recognition for her research on measuring and improving the quality of care for people living with chronic neurological conditions, in particular epilepsy. Her research has also documented racial and ethnic disparities in the quality of neurological care, and these findings have challenged our profession to redress those disparities. On a global scale, she has been a leader in multiple international organizations, serving as president of the Canadian League Against Epilepsy. She received a prestigious Ambassador Award from the International League Against Epilepsy for her achievements in research to improve the quality of life of people with epilepsy worldwide. Closer to home, as Vice Chair of Clinical Research in the Department of Neurology, I'm incredibly grateful for her service as an engaged mentor and a champion in nurturing junior faculty to be future leaders in clinical research.
Thank you, Barbara. I'm very honored to be receiving the Bloodhorn Professor of International Medicine Chair. Thank you, Dean Charney, Dr. Davis, and Mr. Tisch. I would like to extend my gratitude to the Bloodhorn family. Charles Bloodhorn accomplished so much in his short life, not the least of which was his extensive dedication to promoting health and community medicine throughout the world. I've been doing a lot of work with my research team and collaborators to improve neurological care internationally by facilitating the implementation of best practices. Though access to healthcare is not always optimal, as we know even in the US, I'm reminded every day how fortunate we are to be living in a country where medical care is so advanced and discoveries, and great ones, as we discussed today, are made on a nearly daily basis. Hippocrates said, "Cure sometimes, treat often, and comfort always." Through this professorship, I hope to be able to ensure that this great advice is not only followed here in the US, but also internationally, especially in low-resource countries. I would like to thank leaders, Drs. Eric Nestler, Dr. Barbara Vickery, and Madhu Mazumdar, who played an important role in recruiting me here and were very persistent and patient, and also those who were instrumental in helping me jumpstart my research program, including Dr. Lydia Ivich and Dr. Mandeep Demoon. I'm grateful to my other colleagues internationally and here, in particular those in the epilepsy program at Sinai who welcomed me in the program, and I'm grateful to the students and junior faculty I've had the honor to mentor. I see one of them at the back, Dr. Stein, and the staff who have supported me over the years. I want to thank those living with neurological conditions who inspire me every day to be not only a better physician, but a better clinical investigator so I can improve their quality of lives. And finally, I'm deeply indebted to my family, but also my husband, Gus, who couldn't be here with us today, for his unconditional support and for being there throughout my journey as an academic for more than 2 decades. Thank you so much.
Our next recipient is Dr. Florian Kramer, Mount Sinai Professor in Vaccinology. Presenting to Dr. Kramer is Dr. Peter Palesi, Horace Goldsmith Professor and Chair of our Department of Microbiology.
Florian Kramer came to this country as a postdoctoral fellow less than 10 years ago. In July of last year, he was promoted to full professor, having made major contributions to our understanding of how influenza viruses replicate and many other viruses, including hantaviruses, filoviruses, and more recently, Zika virus. What is not yet mentioned in his biography in the program is that only a month ago, Florian was rewarded as a principal investigator, a major National Institutes of Health contract. I think it is handsomely the biggest NIH award that Mount Sinai has ever been awarded. It is a 9-figure award contract for a full 7 years. Congratulations. And the title is Collaborative Influencer Vaccine Innovation Center, or short CIVIC. James de la Vega, our local artist in the neighborhood, he puts down these aphorisms on the pavement near Mount Sinai in white chalk. I'm sure you have seen them. And one of these aphorisms says, become your dream, become your dream. And I can't think of anything better which characterizes Florian Kramer, become your dream. Come on. And you won't believe it, he's so tall, but he's a vegan.
Thank you very much, Peter. So receiving this endowment is really a great honor for me, and I would like to thank Mount Sinai for the professorship in vaccinology. I would also like to thank my mentor, long-term collaborator, and chair of our department, Peter Palesi, for his tremendous support over the years, and for really creating such a great, encouraging, and constructive environment in our department. A big thank you also to the people in my lab who work very, very hard and are really the drivers of the success of our research. Finally, I would like to thank my wife, Christine Marizzi, who is here today. She's also a very successful scientist, and therefore she understands that work never ends. As Peter mentioned, we're currently investigating universal influenza virus vaccines in preclinical, but also in clinical trials. And I will put this endowment to good use to develop better influenza virus vaccines for the future. Thank you very much.
Our 7th recipient is Dr. Daniel LeBeau, Eugene W. Friedman, Professor of Surgical Oncology. Presenting to Dr. LeBeau is Dr. Michael Marin, Julius Jacobson Chair in Vascular Surgery, Ruth J. and Maxwell Hauser, and Harriet and Arthur Alsis, Department of Surgery. Please come forward.
Dr. Labo, come forward here. We got to get back on with the libretto. Yes, I'm exerting chairman prerogative. Stand right here. Got to keep the control going as long as one can. It is my pleasure to introduce the Eugene W. Friedman Professor at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. I had the special opportunity to meet Dr. Friedman, for which this professorship is named, when I was a medical student at Mount Sinai over 35 years ago. I watched him perform surgery, observed him take care of his patients, and in a word, he was extraordinary. Precise, deliberate, focused, and always put his patients first. He was a true role model to all of us, and we believe that his name is worthily remembered by this special chair. We're also pleased to have his son, Mr. Bobby Friedman, here in the audience today, and we're grateful to this next generation of Friedmans for his many years of service on the Board of Trustees here at Mount Sinai Health System. And so we move on. Professor Daniel M. Labo will become the 3rd Eugene W. Friedman Professor of Surgery And I am sure you're all wondering, who is Dr. LeBeau and why would we choose to bestow our institution's highest professorial rank and honor upon him? First, as is my personal custom, let's look at the negative side. Dr. LeBeau was born in Canada and probably does not have a United States passport, making him unlikely to be acceptable to President Trump, and maybe just possibly eligible for deportation. We will, of course, ignore and dismiss this limitation. On the positive side, he comes from an outstanding family of physicians and scientists, and he has been educated in the finest Ivy League universities in the nation. But as a surgeon, teacher, investigator, and leader, that is where he truly shines. Dr. Labo arrived at Mount Sinai determined to add to our knowledge in the treatment of cancer. It was not long before he recognized our shortcomings in the management of patients with the most advanced tumors. Terms like stage 4 disease and inoperability can be the most hopeless words for a patient who has been diagnosed with a late-stage cancer. But this is precisely the challenge Professor LeBeau elected to take on. By studying a unique form of treatment called HIPEC, heated intraperitoneal chemotherapy, Dr. LeBeau instantaneously created hope and extended the life of hundreds of patients who had been written off by other institutions, mostly to the south of us, no names mentioned. Overnight, we became a national and international center for HIPEC, with patients traveling from all over the world to be cared for by Dr. LeBeau here at Mount Sinai. Dr. Labo has extended his reach by creating the Mount Sinai Fellowship for Advanced Surgical Oncology, which has become one of the most comprehensive cancer surgery training programs in America. Graduates from this program are now practicing all over the world. Furthermore, his initiation of and participation in key clinical trials for advancement of cancer treatment has paved the way for improved management of patients with the most challenging malignancies, advancing Mount Sinai as a top destination for these problems. On a personal note, you are unlikely to meet a kinder, more empathic human being anywhere in the world. The countless letters and phone calls I've received over the years outlining the caring, expertise, and compassion Dr. LeBeau has displayed would clearly give his mother and father, who are in the audience, great nachas, but is further validated by the number of patients around you right here in the audience who are alive today because of his therapy. I'm confident that Dr. Eugene Friedman would have been proud and indeed approve of the appointment of Dr. Labo as the Eugene W. Friedman Professor of Surgery at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. Dean Charney, colleagues, family, and clearly former patients, I introduce you to Professor Daniel LeBeau.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. Thank you, Dr. Davis, Dr. Charney. Congratulations, my fellow honorees. At this special time, I want to spend this time thanking the people who got me here. I'm going to start with my Surgeonc family and Department of Surgery family. I see you guys in the crowd. Too many to name, but you may come into work great every day, and I thank you all. Dr. Gretz Friedman and Mr. Friedman, and along with the Hess family, I quite literally would not be standing here if it were not for your generosity. It has been so special to learn about the man and the surgeon, Dr. Eugene Friedman. He was a surgeon with incredible skill and dedication, and I am humbled to accept this chair in his name. Dr. Marin, with the control thing, there are too many anecdotes to share, and quite honestly, I lack the words to express how deeply I appreciate your guidance, your mentorship, and your friendship. You gave me my first job in a growing, dynamic department created in your vision, and we have never looked back. Thank you. My parents, Roz and Stan Labo, my brother Brian, have always been a source of incredible support and guidance. My father, a successful plastic surgeon, over 50 years and still practicing, though he said he was going to retire soon, worked tirelessly, never forgetting where he came from, and taught my brother and I the value of hard work and dedication. My mother, a biochemist, showed me that you can be smart, successful woman and scientist and a great, loving mother at the same time. My brother Brian is actually the smart one in our family, though I did crush him at golf recently. He is the lead pediatric reconstructive hand and microsurgeon at Boston Children's Hospital and a huge support to me both professionally and personally throughout my whole life. I want to thank my daughters Hannah and Phoebe. For those of you who have a child, I'm sure you will agree there's no better person to teach you how important life is while simultaneously pointing out to you that you're not as great as you think you are. I'm so proud of the young women they have become. My wife Catherine truly embodies the notion of the better half. She is an incredible mother, daughter, sister, doctor, and human being, not necessarily in that order. Thank you for your unwavering support and love. Finally, it may sound corny, but I would like to close by thanking my patients and their families. I try to instill in the residents and the fellows the incredible, almost overwhelming faith our patients put in us. We meet them at the most vulnerable time in their life, and they trust us to do the right thing. That level of intimacy and responsibility is unparalleled, and it's a bond we should all cherish. Again, thank you for all who have helped me to get here, and I hope to live up to the high standard of the Eugene Friedman Chair of Surgery.
Our next recipient is Dr. Avi Mayan, Mount Sinai Professor in Bioinformatics. Presenting to Dr. Mayan is Dr. Ming-Ming Zhao, the Harold and Golden Lamport Professorship in Physiology and Biophysics, and the Chair of our Department of Pharmacology.
Thank you, Dennis. It is my great honor to present this distinguished Mount Sinai Professor in Bioinformatics to Dr. Avi Mayan. A computer scientist by training, Avi leads a world-renowned big data science lab at Mount Sinai that focuses on developing computational algorithms and software to study a wide array of cellular processes, ranging from cell signaling to gene regulation in biology and disease. These web-based bioinformatics tools are highly popular amongst investigators across the field around the world. They are being actively used to study disease mechanism and aid drug development for new treatment. Avi is a highly prolific researcher, published regularly his work in top journals. He is also ranked amongst the top 10 most well-funded investigators by NIH Funding in the country. Avi is also a product of Mount Sinai. He received his PhD degree in biomedical sciences after completing his graduate training with Professor Ravi Iyengar. Currently, he is a professor of pharmacological sciences, director of Mount Sinai Center for Bioinformatics. This professorship is very fitting in that we honor a colleague and protege who honors all of us at Mount Sinai through his exceptional academic achievements and impactful scientific discovery and innovation. Congratulations, Avi.
So first, I would like to thank Dr. Charney, Dr. Zhu, Dr. Davis, and other members of the Mount Sinai leadership for their recognition and support. This achievement has my name on it, but it is really two people that should be recognized. The primary person behind the success that we had in the past 15 years at Mount Sinai is my wife, Sherry Jenkins. To say the standard, thank you, Sherry, for your support will not do it justice. Sherry tirelessly works behind the scenes of our entire operation. Her resilience, brilliance, and strong characters inspires me every day. I would also like to thank our family members, Karen, Ron, Debbie, Nikki, Paula, and Roger, for coming here today all the way from South Jersey to show their support. I love you so much. I would like also to thank my current and past lab members. They have done such an amazing job, greatly exceeding my imagination and ability. I would also like to thank Professor Iyengar, my PhD mentor, for positioning me for an amazing career in academia. With this endowment, I'm mostly excited about the opportunity to continue to innovate in the area where computer science and biomedicine meets. Specifically, finding creative ways to apply artificial intelligence and machine learning in basic research for drug and target discovery, but also for clinical applications such as early diagnosis, patient stratification, and precision medicine. I'm also looking forward to continue mentoring and working together with a new generation of talented, driven, smart, and responsible young data scientists. Thank you all for your recognition, support, and opportunity.
It is my great pleasure to install Roxana Moran as the Mount Sinai Professor in Cardiovascular Clinical Research and Outcomes. Roxana, come on up. An internationally recognized interventional cardiologist, Dr. Moran is Professor of Medicine and Director of the Interventional Cardiovascular Research and Clinical Trials in the Michael Wiener and Zena Wiener Cardiovascular Institute at Mount Sinai. She is the consummate physician scientist who balances a busy clinical practice with vibrant research program. She is an expert in complex data and outcomes research in interventional cardiology. Her research interests include mechanisms of restenosis, treatment and prevention of acute kidney injury in cardiac patients, and treatment advances for acute coronary syndromes and acute myocardial infarction. Dr. Moran has served as principal investigator for numerous global studies and participates regularly in the development of clinical guidelines for cardiovascular disease. As director of the Center for Interventional Cardiovascular Research and Clinical Trials, Dr. Moran oversees a large and innovative patient-centered research programs that uses randomized clinical trials to improve the care, the quality, and outcomes for patients with cardiovascular disease. She has built the center into a leading national and international resource on health data related to the prevention, the diagnosis, and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Dr. Moran publishes widely. I think she has over 1,000 publications. Serves on many editorial boards, is frequently invited to lecture at national and international scientific conferences. She has been co-director of the annual Transcatheter Cardiovascular Therapeutics course for 13 years. She is the founder and chief science officer of the Cardiovascular Research Foundation, and recently founded Women as One, an independent nonprofit organization dedicated to advancing opportunities for women in medicine. For these accomplishments and more, our congratulations go to Dr. Moran in being installed as the Mount Sinai Professor in Cardiovascular Clinical Research and Outcomes. Congratulations.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I want to thank Mount Sinai, the Icahn School of Medicine,
And I really would like to thank Dean Charney, Dr. Davis, Dr. Valentine Fuster, who couldn't be here, and Dr. Samin Sharma for the opportunity to be here with you today. I began my career here in cardiology at Mount Sinai as a fellow in 1991. I was, in fact, the first woman ever to train in interventional cardiology at Mount Sinai. And under the unwavering mentorship of Drs. Sharma, Fuster, and countless incredible professors and colleagues, Marianne McLaughlin, I see you there, Dr. Stein in the back, I learned to be dedicated, passionate, and ambitious about improving patient care worldwide. I was lucky to have several mentors, including Dr. Marty Leon at Columbia University, amongst many other amazing individuals who helped me get here. I did not imagine returning to the home I knew and loved 15 years ago, but I did. And 10 years on, I feel connected to Mount Sinai more than ever before. The enthusiasm and expertise of the clinicians, scientists, leaders, and staff across the institution is unlike any other place in the world. The combination of these qualities with the diversity and the vibrancy of New York is what I believe makes this place special. And I am so honored to be recognized by this unique institution with an endowed chair. I can't imagine that this is happening. I promise to do my best and to live up to this honor and to continue the pursuit of better outcomes for our patients with cardiovascular disease. I'm excited about the future of research in cardiology. And I plan to have Mount Sinai continue to lead in clinical research efforts in this arena. I thank my amazing parents who came here in 1976 with their 4 children with the dream of a day like this. But importantly, I thank my friends and other family members, a lot of them are filling this audience, and my mentors and colleagues. But most importantly, I thank my incredible patient and supportive partner in life, Dr. George Dangus, and our 3 daughters, Katerina, Alexandra, and Christiana, for believing in me, understanding the difficult path, making me a stronger person, and accepting the consequences of my very long hours at work away from home. And I thank my incredible team, who are all here, who make me and allowed this possibility happen for me, and my colleague and partner, Dr. Usman Babar. I don't know if he's here, but he's been an incredible support as well. Thank you so much.
Our final recipient is Dr. Sarah E. Millar, Lillian and Henry M. Stratton Professor of Gene and Cell Medicine. Presenting Dr. Millar's citation is Dr. Carol Horowitz, Dean for Gender Equity in Science and Medicine and Professor at Department of Population Health Science and Policy.
It is my deep honor and pleasure to introduce you all to Sarah Miller. Many of you may know her, but she just got here in 2019, this year, so welcome aboard. And it was our great delight that she chose to join Mount Sinai as director of the Black Family Stem Cell Institute, professor in the Department of Cell, Developmental, and Regenerative Biology, and the Kimberly and Eric Waldman Department of Dermatology at Mount Sinai. And by now, maybe you've learned how to say all those things, just off the top of your head. Her research focuses on regulation, controlling development, function, and regeneration of skin and epithelial organs. She and her coworkers identified the key pathway that initiates formation of ectodermal appendages of mammalian embryos. After a PhD at the University of London and postdoc fellowships at the NIH and Stanford, she was professor and vice chair for basic research in dermatology at the University of Pennsylvania's Perelman School of Medicine. While there, she organized a symposium of gender bias in scientific publication, led a team that helped establish on-site daycare Penn Med, and received the very prestigious Penn 2016 Focus Award for the advancement of women in medicine. She serves on the editorial boards, many of them, is deputy editor for the Journal of Investigative Dermatology, and received several important awards, including the NIH Merit Award that Dr. Charney described to you before, and the William Montagna Lectureship Award of the Society for Investigative Dermatology. We are very lucky to have you, and we're honored to have you. Congratulations.
Well, thank you for that very nice introduction. I'm truly honored to be the recipient of the Lillian and Henry M. Stratton Professorship of Gene and Cell Medicine. And this professorship will help to support our research on epithelial stem cells and our efforts to develop new therapeutic approaches for common and rare disorders of skin and hair. I'd like to thank the Stratton Foundation for their generosity in funding this chair. Dr. Stratton had an extraordinary breadth of interest in biomedical sciences, which is reflected in his foundation's endowment of chairs in many fields, including this one. And of course, I would especially like to thank Mount Sinai for selecting me as the recipient of this prestigious professorship, and particularly Dean Charney and Dr. Eric Nestler, who have given me really incredible guidance and support in the transition to my new position as director of the Black Family Stem Cell Institute. I really appreciate that and couldn't really do anything without your help. So lastly, I'd like to thank my family for their support, and especially my husband, Dr. Mark Kahn, who's here today. And coincidentally, he's frequently published his research in Blood, which was the journal founded by Dr. Stratton. So with its generous donors such as Dr. Stratton and really visionary and dedicated leadership and talented faculty, Mount Sinai provides an exceptional environment in which to fulfill the promise of stem cell research. And I'm very excited to work with many of you to accomplish this mission. Thank you very much.
I'd like to congratulate all our newly endowed professors. This concludes the Icahn School of Medicine 2019 Convocation. Thank you, Laura, for joining us today for this very special event, and thank you for everything that you do for Mount Sinai.